There goes my frames!
Oh, God,
Oh my God! Where's it going? Not far enough.
Oh!
I don't remember the exact first Markiplier video I ever watched. Not the title, not the thumbnail, not even the game. What I do remember is the feeling. A voice that didn't feel distant, a presence that didn't feel manufactured, a creator who, even through the low resolution webcam and early YouTube roughness, felt strangely immediate. Not like a performer speaking at an audience, but like a person occupying the same space as you, reacting alongside you to whatever game he was playing. At the time, I didn't have the language for what that meant. I was younger. I wasn't thinking about parasocial dynamics, platform incentives, or content ecosystems. I just knew that when I clicked the Markiplier video, I tended to stay. That was well over a decade ago. Since then, I have watched entire waves of creators I used to enjoy rise and collapse. Channels that once dominated recommendations and my subscription feed now only exist as half-remembered usernames. Genres that once felt untouchable had eventually become algorithmic poison. Formats that shaped early YouTube culture are now treated as rather embarrassing relics. The internet, by its nature, eats its own history. Markiplier didn't disappear with it, and that, more than any subscriber milestone or view count, is the anomaly. Because Markiplier's continued relevance cannot be explained by trend chasing, nor by just nostalgia alone, nor by the vague notion that he simply got lucky. If anything, his content should feel outdated on paper. Let's Plays are no longer cultural centerpieces or even financially viable on YouTube. Horror gaming is saturated beyond utter exhaustion. Loud personalities are abundant, yet Markiplier still feels present. Not preserved in amber, not functioning as a legacy act. Present.
Break me off a piece of that, Kit Kat bar.
One of the strangest realizations I've ever had as a long-time viewer is that I never quite experienced the moment people often describe with childhood creators, or even creators people had found during their teens. The moment where you sort of just grow out of their content. There was no abrupt switch where Markiplier suddenly felt juvenile, embarrassing, or disconnected from who I was becoming at the time. Instead, my relationship with his content evolved in parallel with my own growth. When I was younger, I was drawn to the surface energy, the volume, the exaggerated reactions, the chaotic horror playthroughs, the loud laughter and sudden screams. It worked on the most immediate level. It was entertaining, and it was easy to consume. But as I got older, the reasons I kept watching changed. I started noticing the way he allowed himself to look certain, confused, or wrong on camera without trying to edit those moments out of existence. The content didn't fundamentally change, my perception of it did. Many creators survive by constantly reinventing themselves because their original appeal is narrow. Markiplier didn't need radical reinvention because the core of his appeal was always broad. A human being navigating experiences in real time. Not a persona performing competence. Not a character delivering perfection. A person reacting honestly. That kind of appeal doesn't age out. It scales. Another reason I never quite grew out of Markiplier is that he never positioned himself as something I was supposed to aspire to become in a shallow sense. He wasn't selling an image of success that demanded comparison. He wasn't cultivating an aura of unattainable coolness. He wasn't presenting a lifestyle fantasy. He was presenting presence. That distinction matters more than it gets credit for. Creators who rely on aspirational identity eventually alienate parts of their audience as success widens the gap between viewer and creator. Markiplier's framing avoids this trap almost entirely. His success feels external to his personality, not embedded within it. He never behaves like someone who has transcended his audience. He behaves like someone who happens to have become very fortunate. That humility preserves relatability long after the novelty had faded. In hindsight, this was one of the reasons he became an influence on my own creative aspirations. Not because I ever wanted to replicate what he does, but because I saw proof that you could build a career around being tonally consistent, emotionally open, and creatively curious without consistently mutating into something unrecognizable. I didn't want to scream at horror games. I wanted to speak honestly about things I was passionate about and cared for deeply. Markiplier showed me, indirectly, that an authentic voice can be enough.
Oh. What in the... What? I'm sorry. Hold on.
There are creators who are impressive. There are creators who are talented. There are creators who are entertaining. Markiplier occupies all three, but also a different category at the same time. He also feels safe to spend time with. That doesn't mean sanitized. That doesn't mean shallow positivity. It means psychologically non-hostile. His videos do not make you feel stupid for missing something. They do not make you feel inferior for lacking knowledge. They do not make you feel pressured to agree with him. He reacts, he processes, he narrates internal states. That has created a sense of companionship rather than a sense of performance. When I always click on a Markiplier video, I'm not bracing myself for a persona, someone fake. I'm not preparing to decode layers of irony. I'm not anticipating aggressive posturing. I'm merely stepping into a space where emotional responses are visible and unguarded. That lowers friction. Low friction increases return visits. Over years, that effect compounds. This emotional accessibility also explains why his content works, even when the game itself quite doesn't land for me personally. I have watched countless Markiplier videos where I had zero interest in the game being played. The draw was never the game, it was the company he made you feel. That's a dangerous threshold for most creators because it means the content itself becomes secondary to the creator. But Markiplier has always managed to navigate this without sliding into self-absorption because he never frames himself as the point. He frames the experience, the editing as the point. He happens to just be inside of it at the time. That subtle distinction prevents narcissistic drift. Another important factor is how he handles vulnerability. Markiplier has spoken openly about burnout, mental health, creative exhaustion, and his own insecurities. But he does not build his brand around suffering. He does not aestheticize pain. He does not transform hardship into spectacle. He acknowledges these struggles, then keeps moving forward. That modeling is powerful. It communicates that difficulty is part of life, not a defining identity. For a younger audience, especially, that framing is healthier than the extremes of either toxic positivity or performative despair. It also has reinforced trust, because trust is the invisible currency behind long-term popularity on YouTube. Not hype, not virality, not high-end edits. Trust. And trust is earned through consistency of emotional behavior over time.
Yeah, no. That cum? Give me your cum!
Another reason Markiplier's popularity has endured is that he never allowed himself to calcify into a single creative shape. Many long-running creators eventually become trapped by the version of themselves that first worked. Their early success becomes a cage. The audience expects repetition. The algorithm rewards familiarity. And slowly, evolution starts to feel dangerous. Markiplier avoided that trap by treating change as a requirement rather than a risk. Gaming remained a foundation, but not a boundary. Sketch comedy, interactive narratives, podcasts, experimental projects, and large-scale productions like A Heist in Markiplier and In Space with Markiplier and now Iron Lung were not just brand extensions, they were curiosity made visible. That matters. Curiosity ages better than formulas. When the creator is visibly interested, the audience becomes interested by proximity. What's important is that these experiments were not positioned as reinventions. He never announced a new era persona. He did not discard his past identity to appear relevant. He had always stayed intact. That same voice, that same cadence, that same emotional readability. Only the containers themselves had changed. That continuity makes experimentation feel addictive rather than alienating. Viewers are not asked to relearn who he is, they are simply invited to watch him try new things. That invitation is disarming because it lowers resistance. It reframes novelty as play rather than disruption, which is why even his most ambitious projects still feel connected to a guy just sitting in front of a camera talking to you playing a video game. There is also a practical lesson embedded here that directly influenced how I think about my own path onto YouTube. Markiplier demonstrates that identity precedes format, not the other way around. I don't make gaming content, I make long-form video essays, but the underlying appeal I chase is similar. Clarity of voice, consistency of values, and a sense that the person speaking is present rather than just performing for clicks and views and subscribers. Watching Markiplier over a decade showed me that longevity is not built by locking yourself into one lane. It is built by developing a stable internal compass and letting that guide you on where you should go next.
Come on, do it. I want
Take
you
that,
to do
Archie.
it.
Now, Archie, calm down. Just kidding. No!
When people ask why is Markiplier still popular, the question itself usually carries an assumption that popularity is supposed to decay, that relevance is a limited resource, that every creator, regardless of how beloved they are, has an expiration date as if they're a carton of milk. Markiplier quietly challenges that framework. His career suggests that decline is not inevitable, it is often structural. It happens when creators build their success on unstable foundations: shock, novelty, persona, excess. Markiplier built his on emotional accessibility, curiosity, entertainment, and consistency. Those qualities do not burn out easily, because as a decade-plus long viewer, my relationship with his content has changed. I don't binge the way I did when I was younger. I don't watch every upload, but that connection remains intact. That distinction matters, because loyalty is never measured by constant consumption, but by the quiet assumption that if I click on a video, I will enjoy and have a great time. That is an extraordinary achievement in an ecosystem built on churning out content. Markiplier's influence on my own desire to create is not about copying format, energy, or genre. It is about adopting an approach to presence. He showed me that you can build something sustainable without becoming antagonistic, without chasing outrage, without hollowing yourself out for engagement. You can be steady, you can be human, you can be imperfect in public, and still grow and still remain beloved. His popularity never faded because it was never built on spectacle or a facade. It was built on being someone people feel comfortable spending time with. That sounds simple, but it isn't. It requires restraint, self-awareness, long-term thinking. Most importantly, it requires respecting the audience as people rather than metrics. Markiplier has done that for over 10 years, and the longevity still makes sense.